This weekend Bucks County, Pennsylvania will welcome U.S. Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona, who is slated to lead a town hall meeting amid heightened tensions over proposed budget cuts that could significantly impact Medicaid benefits. The event, organized by the Democratic National Committee (DNC), will occur on May 10 at noon at an undisclosed location, aiming to rally constituents against a budget resolution passed narrowly by the House of Representatives in March. This resolution proposes extending the 2017 tax cuts while imposing $880 billion in budget cuts over the next decade, primarily targeting programs under the jurisdiction of the Energy and Commerce Committee. The budget cuts have raised alarms among many, particularly regarding the potential effects on Medicaid, which serves more than 3 million residents in Pennsylvania, especially low-income and disabled individuals. Local Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, a Republican, has publicly committed to preserving Medicaid but has yet to outline a concrete plan to prevent the cuts as the bill moves through Congress. His constituents have expressed frustration over his lack of engagement, leading to this DNC-organized town hall, which aims to fill the void left by Fitzpatrick's absence in direct public discourse. Many constituents have repeatedly called for an in-person town hall, and this event is a response to their demands, a DNC spokesperson mentioned. Alongside Senator Gallego, notable figures such as DNC Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta and Bucks County officials will be present to discuss the implications of the proposed budget cuts and mobilize support against them. This event is part of a larger strategy by Pennsylvania Democrats to target Republican-held districts they perceive as vulnerable ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. It reflects a broader trend within the party to engage directly with voters in areas where their representation feels lacking, as evidenced by plans for another town hall featuring U.S. Representative Ro scheduled later this month. As local and national political landscapes shift, the stakes are high for both parties. Gallego's visit underscores the urgency Democrats feel about galvanizing grassroots support as they navigate a political environment marked by increasing polarization and contentious debates over social safety nets. In related political developments, Congressman Raja Krishnamurti has officially entered the race for the Illinois Senate seat recently vacated by longtime Senator Dick Durbin. Krishnamurti's campaign will target restoring the American dream amidst ongoing economic challenges, particularly following the Trump administration's policies. He emphasized his commitment to economic justice and political accountability, criticizing the prior administration's influence on economic inequality. Many people feel that the American dream is out of reach right now, Krishnamurti stated, signaling his intent to address these concerns directly in his campaign. His significant fundraising efforts, including $3 million in the first quarter alone, position him favorably as he prepares to challenge other prominent candidates in the Democratic primary. Meanwhile, the political scene in Georgia is heating up as several Republican contenders emerge following Governor Brian Kemp's announcement that he will not seek a Senate seat in 2026. With a competitive primary expected, potential candidates from the U.S. House of Representatives are already eyeing the opportunity to leverage their existing campaign funds for a Senate bid. This shift could significantly impact the dynamics of the upcoming race, particularly against incumbent Democrat Jon Ossoff, who boasts a substantial fundraising lead. As the political landscape evolves, these developments reflect the growing fervor in strategic maneuvering as both parties gear up for the 2026 elections. With town halls, campaign launches, and a competitive primary season on the horizon, the implications of these events will resonate through the electorate, potentially reshaping the political fabric of their respective regions. The coming months will be critical as candidates ramp up their efforts to connect with voters and articulate their visions for the future. As the political landscape in the United States continues to evolve, a series of recent developments underscore the complexities facing the Republican Party, particularly in the wake of Donald Trump's return to the White House and the challenges within his party. The dynamics of power and ideological battles are playing out on multiple fronts, revealing fractures that could shape the future of American governance. One of the most significant challenges comes from within the party itself. Recent reports indicate that North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis has announced his opposition to Ed Martin, a key pick by Trump for a high-profile prosecutor position in Washington, D.C. This development signals potential trouble for Trump's efforts to consolidate power in the Capitol, as Tillis's stance could embolden other Republicans to follow suit. The implications of this opposition extend beyond mere political appointments. It reflects the ongoing struggle for influence within the GOP as it grapples with its identity in a post-Trump era. The political polarization that has characterized the Trump presidency shows no signs of abating. Analysts argue that Trump's approach has morphed significantly since his first term, with a marked shift toward authoritarianism and a zero-sum worldview that prioritizes power and wealth accumulation over democratic principles. Trump's supporters now view him as a messianic figure emboldened by his narrative of victimhood and his rejection of institutional limits. As one political commentator noted, Trump has transformed governance into a spectacle of chaos where media narratives are manipulated to serve his agenda. This atmosphere of instability is compounded by the Republican Party's internal divisions, particularly as they confront pressing issues like budgetary concerns for Washington, D.C. A proposed bill aimed at restoring over $1 billion in funding for the city has stalled amid ultra-conservative resistance. Some members of the GOP are insisting on attaching stringent conditions related to abortion and voting rights as they seek to assert control over D.C.'s governance. This budget impasse could have severe repercussions for city services, underscoring the stakes involved in the ongoing budgetary negotiations. Meanwhile, the GOP faces a looming crisis in Georgia, where the race for the Senate seat previously held by Jon Ossoff is heating up. With Governor Brian Kemp opting not to run, the party is scrambling to find a candidate who can unify its base while appealing to moderates. The potential candidacy of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, known for her divisive rhetoric and strong allegiance to Trump, has raised alarms among party strategists who fear that her presence in the race could jeopardize Republican chances in a general election. Greene's ability to energize the party's far-right base is contrasted by concerns about her appeal to a broader electorate, presenting a classic dilemma that could shape the outcome of the race. As these narratives unfold, it is clear that the Republican Party is at a crossroads. The interplay of internal strife, ideological battles, and the overarching influence of Trump will be pivotal in determining the party's trajectory going forward. The stakes are high not just for the GOP but for the American political landscape as a whole, as the consequences of these developments could reverberate well beyond the next election cycle. As the party navigates these tumultuous waters, the potential for either a cohesive strategy or further fragmentation remains uncertain, leaving observers to speculate on what the future holds for American conservatism. In a significant development for the political landscape, in Illinois, Congressman Raja Krishnamurti has officially announced his candidacy for the U.S. Senate, aiming to succeed the long-serving Senator Dick Durbin, who recently declared he will not seek re-election in 2026. This announcement, made on May 7, 2025, marks the beginning of what promises to be a highly competitive Democratic primary as multiple candidates vie for the open seat. Krishnamurti, who has represented Illinois' 8th congressional district since 2017, positioned himself as a staunch advocate for the middle class, drawing on his personal narrative as the son of immigrants who utilized public assistance to achieve a better life. In a campaign video released on the same day, he stated, "I spent my life standing up to bullies, fighting for everyday people," underscoring his commitment to issues such as Social Security, veteran support, public education, and job training programs. With a robust campaign war chest of $19 million, he enters the race as one of the front-runners, a point noted by political analysts who emphasize the importance of funding in such contests. The political dynamics are shifting rapidly following Durbin's announcement. Krishnamurti joins a growing list of candidates, including Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton and Congresswoman Robin Kelly, all of whom are eager to claim the seat of a senator known for his influential role in national politics. Stratton has received endorsements from prominent figures such as Governor J.B. Pritzker, whose financial backing and political clout could significantly bolster her campaign. Political analyst Laura Washington remarked, Pritzker has a lot of money and influence which will help bring her support. Adding to the intrigue of the race, Congressman Lauren Underwood has expressed interest in potentially entering the fray, acknowledging the opportunity presented by Durbin's retirement. Underwood, who has yet to make an official announcement, emphasized the need for a rigorous primary, stating, "The people of Illinois are going to have a real choice." Meanwhile, former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Republican Representative Darren LaHood are also rumored to be considering their own bids for the Senate seat. As Krishnamurti prepares to launch his campaign with events scheduled across Peoria, Chicago, and Schaumburg, he aims to resonate with voters by highlighting his own journey as a testament to the American dream. "They told us whatever you do, make sure this country is there for the next families who need it," he said, evoking the support he received throughout his education and political career. The race for the Senate seat is poised to be fiercely contested, reflecting the broader political currents shaping Illinois and the nation. As candidates begin to stake their claims, the spotlight will be on how they address the pressing issues facing their constituents and their ability to unify the Democratic base. With the primary election on the horizon, Krishnamurti's entry signals a pivotal moment in Illinois politics, setting the stage for a dynamic and potentially transformative electoral battle. On May 5, 2025, the U.S. House of Representatives took a decisive step in combating foreign trade secret theft by passing H.R. 1486, also known as the Economic Espionage Prevention Act (EPA). This legislation, introduced by Representative Rich McCormick, Republican, Georgia, aims to enhance protections for American trade secrets and proprietary information by empowering the president to impose sanctions on foreign entities engaged in economic or industrial espionage. This bill reflects escalating concerns regarding state-sponsored intellectual property (IP) theft, particularly from countries identified as foreign adversaries including China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, and Venezuela. The EEPA builds upon the foundation laid by the Economic Espionage Act of 1996, which criminalized the theft of trade secrets, including provisions for foreign economic espionage benefiting foreign governments. Notably, the 1996 Act was enacted in response to significant security threats, exemplified by the case of a former Boeing engineer who was convicted for stealing trade secrets worth over $2 billion for China. McCormick emphasized the current urgency of the issue, stating, "Since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, it has depended on China for critical technology. We need to prevent U.S. technology and intellectual property from being used against allies and national security." The legislation arose amid heightened scrutiny of foreign espionage activities, particularly those linked to China's technological support for Russia's military initiatives. Following the bill's passage in the House, it is set to move to the Senate for further debate. The implications of the EEPA for U.S. businesses are significant, especially for those operating in industries heavily reliant on trade secrets. Enhanced IP protection measures may offer the U.S. government new tools for investigating and penalizing foreign entities involved in IP theft, potentially reducing the risks associated with trade secret misappropriation. Companies with ties to the aforementioned adversarial nations will need to bolster compliance obligations and prepare for possible investigations that could lead to sanctions disrupting their business activities. To mitigate risks effectively, businesses are advised to adopt proactive strategies, establishing clear definitions and documentation of what constitutes a trade secret, implementing layered security measures, and requiring non-disclosure agreements (NDAs) for all employees and partners are critical steps. Furthermore, companies should conduct regular audits of their trade secret protection measures and maintain thorough due diligence processes to ensure that their proprietary information is safeguarded against foreign adversaries. As the EEPA progresses through the legislative process, it represents a pivotal move towards shielding U.S. trade secrets from foreign entities seeking to undermine national security and economic competitiveness. The ongoing dialogue surrounding the bill underscores the growing recognition of the importance of protecting intellectual property in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. Moving forward, businesses are urged to adapt swiftly to the evolving regulatory environment and reinforce their defenses against potential economic espionage. In a significant ruling that underscores the ongoing cultural and legal battles surrounding transgender rights in the United States, the Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to enforce a ban on transgender individuals serving in the military. This decision, issued on May 6, 2025, comes as part of an emergency application by the administration, and the court's ruling was brief and signed and provided no rationale, a common practice when justices act on such applications. The ruling directly revokes an executive order from President Joseph R. Biden Jr. that had permitted transgender service members to serve openly in the military. The ban, originally put forth by President Donald Trump on the first day of his second term, asserts that adoption of a gender identity inconsistent with an individual's sex conflicts with a soldier's commitment to an honorable, truthful, and disciplined lifestyle. As a result of this directive, the Department of Defense has begun implementing policies that require the discharge of transgender military personnel, impacting approximately 4,200 active service members, or about 0.2% of the military. The Supreme Court's decision has reignited debates over transgender rights amid the Trump administration's broader campaign against such rights, which has included attempts to bar transgender athletes from participating in sports and restrictions on bathroom access. The ruling arrives at a time when the court is also set to hear other pivotal cases related to LGBTQ+ rights, including a Tennessee law banning gender-affirming care for transgender minors. Legal challenges against the military ban were spearheaded by 7 active service members and advocacy groups who argued that the policy violated the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. Notably, Commander Emily Schilling, a seasoned naval aviator who began transitioning while serving, highlighted the personal and professional stakes involved. Her case was referenced by Judge Benjamin Settle, who previously issued a nationwide injunction against the ban, emphasizing the lack of evidence supporting claims of diminished military readiness or unit cohesion due to the presence of transgender individuals. The Supreme Court's decision to lift this injunction has drawn sharp criticism from advocacy groups. Lambda Legal and the Human Rights Campaign Foundation described the ruling as a devastating blow to transgender service members who have proven their commitment to the nation's defense. The ruling has also sparked further scrutiny regarding the process by which the court handles emergency applications, particularly in cases that have substantial implications for civil rights. As the legal landscape evolves, the Supreme Court will soon address several other critical issues affecting transgender rights and broader social policies. These include the fate of laws banning gender-affirming care for minors and the controversial topic of parental opt-out rights concerning LGBTQ+ instructional content in schools. The implications of the court's ruling extend beyond military policy. They reflect a broader societal struggle over the rights of transgender individuals in America. Observers note that the conservative majority on the court may be inclined to prioritize executive authority and the administration's agenda over individual rights, raising concerns about the long-term trajectory of civil liberties in the United States. Looking ahead, the legal ramifications of the Supreme Court's actions will likely reverberate through various sectors, influencing future legislation and societal attitudes towards transgender rights. As the court prepares to issue further decisions on these pressing issues, many are watching closely to gauge the balance between executive power and individual rights in the current political climate.